Hello everyone, welcome to pediatric case presentation. So this is the case presentation number 4. This is the part 4. A beautiful way of presenting cases I have explained in pediatrics format. In the part 1, 2, 3 I have explained regarding the name, age, sex, informant, address, right? All those points I have told in detail in proper elaboration in the part 1, 2, 3. Okay, it is there on the YouTube and everywhere. You can watch them. Now coming to the today's important part, we're going to talk about the past history. Okay, all these complaints like this name, age, sex, address, informant, chief complaints, history of presenting illness, everything I've explained in detail in the previous videos. Okay, today we're going to talk about past history, important aspects of past history, important points, what to do in the past, in the case presentation, the past history. So we always say, right, that ma'am, there is no there is no history of similar complaints in the past. There is no history h. Okay, there is no history of similar complaints in the past. Yes or no? That's what in the past history we always try to correlate. Yes or no? Or we always say, right, that there is no history of hospitalization. That also we say there is no history of similar complaints in the past, or there is no history of hospitalization. This is what we in general we say. Again, coming to examples, like why past history is important. Tell me one condition where past history plays a very important role. So you can divide them into, we have like the cardiac causes, like any cardiovascular system cause you can think where past history is very important. So in the cardiovascular system, what is important for us to know is regarding the rheumatic fever. Yes or no? If the patient is a case of rheumatic fever, he will have a past history of fever, cough and cold, coryza. Yes or no? Or even a repeated case of rheumatic fever. And also cyanotic spells. Yes or no? This mother gives a history regarding cyanotic spells, nothing but dead spells. Remember, there is something known as breath holding spells and something known as cyanotic spells. So these two important history we should touch in case of past history. Also, what we can think is regarding things regarding GIT. Regarding the GIT, what all past history complaint which can be relevant. So sir, there is a past history of jaundice. Yes or no? Any previous histories of blood transfusions. Why blood transfusions is important for me to know? Because the risk of infective hepatitis basically increases. The risk of infective hepatitis increases in a case of repeated blood transfusions. So past history of jaundice, past history of blood transfusions, past history of any hepatotoxic drugs like INH, rifampicin, like that, hepatotoxic drugs. Okay, any past history of chronic diarrhea. Have you heard the name? Acute diarrhea, chronic diarrhea, and persistent diarrhea. So any history of chronic diarrhea? Yes, my past history is relevant. Any history of passing worms in the stools? Yes or no? Passing worms. Again, these all are the important points where my past history is really relevant. And one more, okay, if I talk about CNS, central nervous system, again, what past history is connecting in my case? History of convulsion, yes or no? If the patient is a case of of a febrile seizure or anything else, so history of convulsions are important. History of any recent vaccination to rule out vaccine associated paralytic polio, yes or no? And history of ear discharge. So all these conditions in CNS examination will be important. This is nothing but past history. Okay, so after name, age, sex, informant, his chief complaints, history of presenting illness, then comes the past history. After finishing past history, also one important point, there is no history of contact also is very important. We always examiner ask you a definition pertaining to a tuberculosis case. What is contact? How do you define contact? Yes, so the definition of a contact is nothing but, number one, if any person is in contact, if any person who is in contact with the patient, any person who is in contact with the patient who is who is a case of open tuberculosis. Okay, who is an open case of tuberculosis, number one. And who is on treatment, with the anti-tubercular drugs with ATT, or has completed treatment within 2 years of life, So any person who is in contact with the patient who is an open case of TB and on treatment with ATT or has completed treatment within 2 years of life. So I will say this person is a case of contact positive or contact not positive. Okay, very important. Like this multiple times they have asked, how do you define a contact? Even contact also we can categorize according to the based on number of hours. Okay, so the definition is, I'll tell you properly, a person who had shared airspace with an individual with pulmonary TB in a household or other indoor setting for more than 15 hours, okay, the person who has shared an air space, okay, with a person having pulmonary TB, are you understanding, with a person with pulmonary TB in the household or other indoor setting, in the household or any other indoor setting for more than 15 hours, okay, for more than 15 hours per week, or more than 180 hours total during an infectious period. That is known as hours wise, if you want to talk about history of contact. Are you understanding? Okay, these were the important points you need to know regarding the past history. I told little in detail, and also regarding the history of contact. Are you understanding? Yes or no? Now come to the next important part. The next important part which comes to us our mind is nothing regarding the our antenatal history. Okay, antenatal history, basically what are we talking about? We are all ruling out mother problems, mother taking drugs during pregnancy, during first trimester, second trimester, third trimester. Yes or no? So that concern is antenatal history. So in antenatal history we need to know, like the antenatal case, she should get herself registered in the hospital before 12 weeks of the last menstrual period. She should get herself registered in the hospital before 12 weeks of the last menstrual period, and it should be examined. If this is not done, then the patient is said to be unbooked case. If this is not done before 12 weeks of the last menstrual period, she is not coming and registering, so we'll tell she is an unbooked case. Okay, second, what are the other effects of maternal disease? Like in antenatal history, what all diseases in general you're going to ask the mother, basically. So most importantly, diabetes, yes or no? Basic in while taking history, you will ask the mother, right? Are you a diabetic? Are you a hypertensive? Are you having some skin infections? Are you having some congenital problems? Are you a smoker? Yes or no? So coming to diabetes, so diabetes, the most common congenital heart disease in infant of diabetic mother will be a ventricular septal defect. Are you understanding? If your mother is a diabetic, in your baby, which congenital heart are you suspecting? The most common will be a ventricular septal defect, which is a left to right shunt, which is the acyanotic congenital heart disease. And the most specific, any idea which is the most specific congenital heart disease in infant of diabetic mother? The most specific congenital heart in infant of diabetic mother is a TGA. What is a TGA? The TGA is transposition of great arteries. Where instead of pulmonary artery there is aorta, and instead of aorta there is pulmonary artery. So transposition of great arteries. Okay, these are questions examiner can ask you. Okay, your mother is diabetic. Okay, fine. So if the mother is diabetic, which is the most common congenital abnormality? In infant of diabetic mother? The answer is congenital heart disease. Most common congenital abnormality is congenital heart disease. Okay, and which is the most common congenital heart? I have told you. Now the most common neurological abnormality in infant of diabetic mother, the most common will be a NTD, neural tube defect. The most common neurological abnormality in infant of diabetic mother will be a neural tube defect, and the most specific will be known as caudal regression syndrome, also known as sacral agenesis. Okay, these all are very important questions. These all are exams questions, theory questions, practical questions, all questions. Okay, examiner will ask you. Okay, the most specific congenital heart in infant of the most specific neurological abnormality is caudal regression syndrome or sacral agenesis. Okay, will you remember this? Okay, and okay, what are the other important problems which we could encounter in a case of antenatal history? So in antenatal history, of course, pregnancy induced hypertension. We need to rule out whether the mother is a case of PIH. If the mother is a case of PIH, then what are the problems baby can have? The baby, can land up into growth retardation. The baby can have thrombocytopenia. These are important things. Okay, please remember, you should use your brains. If the mother is a case of PIH, the baby can have growth retardation and thrombocytopenia. Some cases the baby can have abruptio placenta and premature delivery also. Okay, but at least two you should remember. In the case of PIH, the baby can have growth retardation and thrombocytopenia. Okay, if the mother is a case of SLE, what is SLE? If the mother is a case of systemic lupus erythematosus, have you heard the name? Systemic lupus erythematosus. It was a recent MRCPCH question. I had given my MRCPCH exam, and in that exam they had asked, if the mother has a history of SLE, what all problems baby can have? Most importantly, baby can have a heart block. Please remember, the baby can have a heart block. The baby can be IUGR, thrombocytopenia, or even lupus syndrome also can happen. So heart block, spontaneous abortions, IUGR, thrombocytopenia, and lupus syndrome. Okay, next, if the mother, thrombocytopenia and IUGR is intrauterine growth restriction, not retardation. Please remember, it is restriction, not retardation. So this is also over. Okay, what else? If the mother is a case of UTI, in general, if the mother has urinary tract infections, the book says that preterm delivery can happen. If the mother is a case of hyperparathyroidism, if the mother is a case of hyperparathyroidism, baby can have tetany can have in the patient. Okay, then for 2 3 more I'll tell you. If the mother is a case of phenylketonuria on baby, the baby can have mental retardation, which is now known as intellectual disability. Mental retardation, which is now known as intellectual disability. Okay, so the baby can have intellectual disability, baby can have microcephaly, baby can have congenital heart defects. Microcephaly, which is head circumference less than -3 standard deviation for the age and sex, and congenital heart defects basically. So these are the important points regarding the this one effect of maternal disease or disorders on infant, okay, during pregnancy. Very important. Are you understanding? These are very important points. Please don't forget, these are very 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 important points. Next, smoking. If mother is smoking during pregnancy, the baby can land them into what all problems baby can have. If the mother has a history of smoking, it can lead to a lot of problems in the babies. The baby can have, basically, there's increased chances of stillbirth or low birth weight babies, or even mental or physical retardation also in the child. Many problems can happen. That's why we never appreciate of mother having smoking or something. So if the mother is a case of smoking, the baby can have stillbirth and low birth weight babies, mental retardation, physical retardation, learning disorders. So many things are there. And in low birth weight, I've already told you. Okay, mental retardation, which is now known as intellectual disability. If the mother has taken alcohol during pregnancy, it's a good question. If the mother has taken alcohol during pregnancy, baby can land up into fetal alcohol syndrome. And what are the important points of fetal alcohol syndrome? Who will tell? I'll make a draw face. Now this is a face in the fetal alcohol syndrome. Remember, the baby can have various problems like, so if I draw a face, this one. So number one, short palpebral fissure. Palpebral fissure. Number one, like short eyes, short space, short length of the eyes. So short palpebral fissure length. Number one. Number two, this below the nose we have philtrum, right? So you can say smooth philtrum, thin upper lip, smooth philtrum, thin upper lip. And then baby can have other problems also: microcephaly, IUGR, developmental delay. Microcephaly, IUGR, developmental delay. Okay, and deafness is not seen. That's an exam question. Please remember, deafness is not seen. Okay, so microcephaly, IUGR, developmental delay, and then various forebrain malformations. They can have short stature, septal defects, or small or low IQ. These were the fetal alcohol syndrome. I'm telling you whatever points are coming into my mind. Okay, these are very important. Next, come to irradiation. In the antenatal history, we're still talking about antenatal history, so exposure to the irradiation is important. And usually, how much is allowed? Permissible limit is nothing but 500 millirads through the entire pregnancy period. 500 millirads are allowed through the entire pregnancy period, if I talk about irradiations. Okay, exposure to the irradiations. And when will abortion happen? When can abortion happen in the mother? Like we tell, no, the mother should not take any radiations or exposures if there are more than 10,000 millirads of exposure. More than 10,000 millirads of exposure, the baby can have abortion, baby can have microcephaly, baby can have mental retardation. Okay, abortion, microcephaly, mental retardation, and cataract. Baby can have cataract. Are you understanding? These are nice important points. You should know. It will be helpful for you. Okay, these are the important points. We are all talking regarding the antenatal history. Okay, then coming further. So these all we are talking about antenatal history. In detail, I have covered the case presentation. Please watch these videos, and it will be really helpful if you watch them. Examiner can ask you 1,000 questions. So coming to first trimester, second trimester, third trimester. So what all problems can happen? Roughly, if I talk about, see, first trimester, what is happening in the first trimester? The ovum is getting converted into embryo. Okay, ovum is, see, we have ovum, embryo, fetus. 0 to 14 days is ovum, 14 days to, I think, till 8 weeks is embryo, and then the fetus. So in the first trimester, we are worried about radiations, we are worried about viral infections, radiations or viral infections are very important in a case of first trimester history. Which viral infection is very common? Rubella. Congenital rubella syndrome, the first trimester problem, it caused too much of first trimester problem. Congenital rubella syndrome, the triad is cafe coffee day. I have told many times, cafe coffee day, CCD. C for congenital heart disease, that is PDA, patent ductus arteriosus, and then we have cataract, and third is deafness. These are important questions. And so here only 3 exams question. The most common congenital heart disease and congenital rubella syndrome, the answer is PDA. Among the cafe coffee day, which is the most commonest, the answer is deafness. Deafness is the most common manifestation in congenital rubella syndrome, and most common congenital heart is PDA. And in the this is first trimester issues. Okay, first trimester, very important, we must know this. Okay, last 3 minutes left. So first trimester, second trimester, and third trimester. So first trimester, I've already told you radiations are important. Any history of viral infections is important. In the second trimester, what is important? See, second trimester, we all know that the embryo is getting converted into fetus. Embryo is getting converted into fetus. Embryo is still 8 weeks of period of gestation. 9 weeks till birth is the fetus. Again, that's exam question. So fetus. So what all second trimester in general? So remember, in second trimester there is increase in the number and size of cells. In the second trimester, the number of cells also are increasing, and number and size also is increasing in the second trimester. Okay, now third trimester, remember, there is increase in the size of cells. Only there is increase in the size of cells in the third trimester. And there's a rapid weight gain in the mother. There's increased number size of the cells. Organs are also being formed. Everything on a very high rate. Okay, so remember, first trimester there is increase in number of cells. Second trimester, number of cells and size is increase, and third trimester there is increase in the size of cells. First, second, and third. That also we should try to think a little bit. So these were the important questions you must know about that whole antenatal history in detail I have told. Again, one few important questions. Again, examiner can ask you in case presentation. If the mother has taken thalidomide during pregnancy, the baby can land up into phocomelia. What is phocomelia? Limb defects. Okay. If the mother has taken thalidomide during pregnancy, the baby can land up into phocomelia. Phocomelia means limb defects. If the mother has taken anti-malarials during pregnancy, artemether, arteether, primiquine, and all those. So if the mother has taken anti-malarial during pregnancy, the baby can land up into deafness. Deafness also is very common. Okay, what else? If I talk about carbamazepine. Okay, if the mother has taken carbamazepine during pregnancy, carbamazepine. Okay, so baby can land up into spina bifida. So remember spina bifida. If the mother has taken carbamazepine during pregnancy, baby can land up into spina bifida, a neural tube defect, commonest one. Okay, next important question. If the mother has taken carbimazole, carbimazole during pregnancy, these 5-6 are important. Okay, if you remember, that's more than enough. If the mother has taken carbimazole during pregnancy, the baby can land up into various scalp defects. Baby can have choanal atresia. Remember, failure of the nasogastric tube to pass, and orogastric tube can go, and esophageal atresia. So all these atresia defects can happen if the mother has taken carbimazole during pregnancy. Next, coming to what else you want to know? Cocaine. If the mother has taken cocaine during pregnancy, the baby can land up into. So if the mother has taken cocaine during pregnancy, baby can land up into microcephaly. Number 1. What is microcephaly? Head circumference less than -3 standard deviation. Okay, I'll change my pen 1 second. This one. So if the mother has taken cocaine during pregnancy, the baby can land up into microcephaly, which is head circumference less than -3 standard deviation for the age and sex, and the baby can also have low birth weight or IUGR babies. Okay, next come to danazol. If the mother has taken danazol during pregnancy, baby can land up into virilization. ठीक है, याद रहेगा. Will you remember this much? If the mother has taken lithium during pregnancy, so we all know that Epstein anomaly, where there's downward displacement of tricuspid wall. You will see Himalayan P waves and box-shaped heart. All those things are Epstein anomaly. Okay, all these are exam questions. All these are very good questions. So if the mother has taken lithium during pregnancy, the baby can land up into Epstein anomaly. If the mother has taken misoprostol during pregnancy, so M for misoprostol and M for Mobius syndrome, the baby can land up into Mobius syndrome. Again, super specialty question. And Mobius syndrome will have cranial neuropathies. Okay, there are many actually. If the mother has taken phenytoin during pregnancy, baby can land up into fetal height and twine syndrome. Yeah, and if the mother has taken phenytoin during pregnancy, baby can land up into fetal hydantoin syndrome, neuroblastoma, or any bleeding manifestation. If the mother has taken quinine during pregnancy, the baby can land up into abortion or deafness. If the mother has taken statin during pregnancy, statins, the baby can land up into vectoral anomalies, and so many are there. The mother has taken tetracycline during pregnancy, the baby can land up into teeth pigmentation. If the mother has taken vitamin D during pregnancy, baby can land up into supravalvular aortic stenosis. And in Williams syndrome also, the most common congenital heart disease in Williams syndrome is also supravalvular aortic stenosis. The knowledge is never ending, but it's good to share, and that's the purpose of my life. Thank you so much for all the wonderful feedback you all have given. That was all about case presentation part 4. In this, I have told in detail regarding the past history, regarding the antenatal history. Antenatal is important. After, in the next video, I'll be talking about birth history and nutritional history and everything. If you like this video, please share, like, and subscribe. And thank you so much for the participation. And if you really like the video, please let me know so that I can make more of such things. And you can join our free WhatsApp group also. We have WhatsApp, Telegram, and beautiful groups we have. And the number is 9999897081. Have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you.